lot of lives as an Avenger. Before I got this family, I made mistakes choosing between what the world wants you to be and who you are. We have to go back to where it all started.
Where did you think I was all this time?
We have unfinished business.
My girls are the toughest girls in the world.
I'm sorry. We had our orders and we played our rules.
It wasn't real.
It was real to me. To me, you were everything.
Raina.
One thing's for sure. I'm done running from my past.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up? What's up? What's up, man?
Hello.
There we go. There he is.
Today, we're going to be talking about MCU current lineup. I've actually been going back and watching a lot of the.
You're a little muffled for some reason. I don't know why. You're like I think something on the sound changed there.
Could it be?
There we go.
Could it be sound alerts?
Always there, sound alerts. Our friends always.
Let me know. They always want to let me know. No, but what I was saying is we're gonna be talking about the current phases of the MCU. I've been going back and watching a lot of the older movies, and I've actually been catching a lot of mistakes and a lot of bad.
Okay, that one, Carlos.
Yeah, a lot of bad CGI and just a lot of stuff that I didn't catch, when I was deeply in love with the MCU, yada yada. Say what you want, but the MCU is not perfect. It's not.
Oh no.
I'm actually going back with a more critical mind and seeing that it's not perfect.
Yeah, no, I never thought it was perfect, from the start, but it's certainly a lot closer to it's a lot more stuff that I can enjoy than I think than be upset about. Unlike people on the other end of the fence there.
So tonight after we do this, I'm gonna actually watch the Spider-Man movies, and because now I kind of want to go back into with
the MCU ones or which ones?
The MCU ones, yeah.
The MCU
only MCU stuff. But I want to go back in with a skeptical kind of mindset and watch them.
I'll tell you what I'll watch Homecoming with you and really get into the critiques of that because I got a whole book of that.
I know you do. So that's what I'm kind of doing. But so I mean, where do you find that Black Widow is going to fall on this scale?
Man, well, I really don't know. For me, I think it feels just so late. It's so late. I remember after Age of Ultron, which you said you watched yesterday. There's a considerable
It's actually like the CGI and it's like really terrible.
Well, I can't stand Age of Ultron anyway, so that
It's bad. It's actually really bad. And like in a lot of the sequences you can see where, you know, the sequence is broken down from being shot to, you know, having it rendered later and added things in later and you know, even if it's like a fake tree or if it's fake snow or like the atmosphere around them, you can see that it's there and it's being put in post-production rather than actually being there for the actual shot. And you know, this is something that I've tackled with these big budget movies for years is the use of CGI and the use of computer generated images and the way they're incorporating them as of late. And it's becoming more apparent that the world that these superhero worlds and these interconnected universes, you know, even Fast and Furious, they're all, the use of CGI is heavy. And, you know, it really takes a hit. It takes a hit when it's bad.
It does. I think it really does. And, you know, with Age of Ultron, you know, for me, it felt like after that movie, you know, there was a considerable amount of hype for Black Widow. You know, like just everybody wanted a so I feel like they should have done a Black Widow movie then. So I don't really know where it's gonna fall now. You know, we got Endgame, we got, you know, all of these other big even Loki. Even Loki feels like the
Loki's
scale of
gorgeous,
Marvel.
by the way.
Like
Loki has been gorgeous, and the way it's incorporated the MCU as a whole has been so good. Like it's so good, so well done, and so proper that when you go back and so I've been, you know, what I also recommend is that you go back and watch what did I say it was the other day? Assembled on Disney Plus. And they go behind the scenes of WandaVision and the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm really looking forward to seeing the behind the scenes of Loki and how they did it all. Because
it just feels like it's so much bigger than all the other shows. It feels like it's so much, you know, everything about Loki. And you know, I was talking to a friend of mine today because I was like, it's gonna be weird. I think you know, shows like Miss Marvel and Hawkeye and stuff like that. It's gonna be weird after this. You're going from like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was like pretty good. And there's some big effects and stuff, to like Loki, which is like an event. Feels like an event, epic series. Like last night's episode could have been in the theaters, if you ask me. That whole thing with the angry cloud and Goliath and like that was and classic Loki bringing back Asgard. There was just so much that really it was cool. Like, dude, I would love. Oh, the alligator
Loki.
Yeah.
Alligator Loki was so awesome, biting people's hands off.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't. You know, the really sucky part is it's at 3 a.m. and like I can't find myself getting excited for it. Like at 3 a.m. It's really like it's the truth of the matter.
Dude, honestly, same time. Exactly. When I was like, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's hard to be jumping out of my seat at 3 a.m. You know, I'm sitting here like, I am so surprised that I'm awake right now. You know, like, and I'm trying to like sit through this thing and like and maintain a proper aesthetic. You know, and so then I have to go back and watch the episode again the next day, and I'm like, oh my god, like this show is really so good. Like Loki is out of the 3 series that have debuted on Disney Plus, Loki is by far hands down the winner. Like there's no contest. There's each episode has gotten better and you've gotten more intrigued with the storyline.
Yes, with Loki, it's able to feel so big and epic and grand while still having so much emotion, like this grounded drama to it, and it balances it very well.
And even too, like there's something about Loki that I
can't remember which episode it was. I think it was episode 3 that I had a tough time staying awake for.
Yeah.
I really did. I really like it was rough because that day was I did a lot of labor that day, and then no good.
Right. Yeah,
Was it Tomorrow
it's
World?
tough,
Tomorrow
yeah.
World. We tried to do a stream for that when it came out, and like
Oh,
I fell
Tomorrow
asleep for the last hour. Not gonna lie.
And yeah, I
then
ended
I
up
went
falling
back and
asleep,
watched it,
too.
and I was like, "That's actually it wasn't a bad movie. It was a decent film actually. It just
Right.
I don't think it's not like it. That's another movie like the CGI and the all that stuff.
I didn't
You gotta
think the
turn your
CGI
mind off for that.
was that bad, actually. I actually liked the design of the aliens in that movie.
in
I thought they were
Tomorrow
pretty cool.
World, right?
Yeah, Tomorrow War.
War.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Tomorrow War.
sorry.
Tomorrow World.
No, but when I went back and watched it the second time, I was like, "Wow, this movie's not so bad."
Right.
It's really not. It's
What,
not so
Tomorrow War?
bad. Yeah, Tomorrow War.
War.
It's not so
Yeah,
bad.
no, I
It's not
liked
as
it.
bad as-
I liked it. There's some cool parts. Like I like the one. Like, there's one part that I was like, oh crap. Where like, there's that one poison thing that they have on the aliens, and he got on that one alien's arm and he bites his own arm off.
Yeah.
So he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that is awesome.
Yeah, and then like when they brought, so I thought what was great about Tomorrow War is you think the story's ending at a certain point and it doesn't, and it goes on for a little bit longer.
You liked that part, huh?
I did actually, I did. I where it was ending, you're like, well, how is there still 40 minutes left in this movie?
Right.
And you're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like
And
the
then,
daughter's dying.
And then he goes back to dad. He gets dad. And he's like, we're going on a snow mission.
Yes.
Dude, I didn't notice how jacked J.K. Simmons is. That dude, he is ripped for an
Yeah,
for an older man.
He
I
was
was
ready
like- I
to
was
take
like,
on
dang, bro.
take on the aliens, man. He was all in shape. I feel like that carried over a bit from what was supposed to be, because wasn't he supposed to be like all jacked and ripped for the Batfleck movie when that was getting like prepped and all that?
Yes.
Yeah, because he was
in the
Gordon.
gym and all- Yeah. But he was gonna be like a hands-on kick-ass Gordon, like it looks like.
Yeah. And I know you're super excited about it. Austin in particular. I did get a Grubhub delivery tonight.
Oh God.
I'm waiting for that right now. So I
Those
put in your
guys suck.
great.
Suck.
So but what do you guys think of I know have you read anything about Black Widow? I know a little bit more than I should know from a couple different sources, which I would have rather not know. But what you're hearing, are you excited about Black Widow? What's your anticipation going in?
Yeah, let's
Awesome,
hear from
go.
Gavin and AJ. I talk too much. I hear the
Okay.
sound of my own voice a lot.
I do know some stuff that I'd rather not know. But being like a fan like me and having like a lot of communities, you'll know. You just gotta deal with stuff like something will be said. Like, I think it'll be an alright movie. This is what I'll say. I don't think it's gonna be good or bad. I think it's gonna be an alright. Like, the thing with Black Widow is, I've said this a lot, like, even if it came out with like no pushback, COVID, all that stuff, even if it came out on its date, I still think it would have been too late for this movie. Like, you need to drop this like in phase 2.
Yeah.
So now it's just really out of its element.
Yeah. And I said some comment the other day. I was like, didn't this movie come out 9 years ago or something like that? Like
Right.
My hype for this is long since past. And I feel like it's hard to like get excited about Black Widow because we've had so much time to sit with her death. Like her death in Endgame was so not revealing. It wasn't revealing. Like I know there was, like, we've talked to the editor and stuff, it was a heated thing. It's like, who's gonna die? Is it gonna be Hawkeye or is it gonna be Black Widow? In that sequence.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm battling it out in my head when the scene's taking place. It's like, who do I want to die more? Or who do I want to stick around less?
Right.
That's a hard thing to do as a fan. And honestly, I'd rather at that point I would have rathered Hawkeye stick around.
It would have
Widow
go
away.
I mean, like, he just got like really cool, like the Ronin stuff. I'm like,
The Ronin
Hawkeye
storyline, like,
Hawkeye just got really cool, and you're gonna kill him off.
Yeah. So as a fan, it's hard to like, oh yeah, no, okay, Hawkeye, yeah, just jump off the ledge, yeah, be good, and like we'll get more of like Natasha, like, crying around a table about something, like eating peanut butter sandwich with Steve. You know, it's just like I'm done with that storyline. I'm done with that whole Red Room thing. It never paid off. Joss Whedon never got to it because he was like, you know, didn't come back for other movies. And
Right.
that you can see, like, if you watch all the Avengers movies in a row, you can see where it faltered, where certain storylines faltered. The Banner Natasha storyline was a main focus going into Avengers 2 that didn't go anywhere after Avengers 2. And it's really noticeable once you go back in and look at it. You're like, what? Where did this go? Where it went was
weird.
Where it went was Ragnarok came out, and everything was changed at that point. That whole storyline, you know, it's like, how does Banner get from being in a Quinjet in stealth alert or stealth mode to being on Asgard? You know what I mean? Like, some things just didn't make sense to me, or some things just couldn't add up. And I just like to get your thoughts on like MCU plot lines or plot holes. There's plenty of them.
On Black Widow, I will say it's very easy to get into the film and understand where it is. It definitely, it is a film that, like, I do believe that how the film is, it should have released after a specific film that takes place after. And it makes sure, like, it's taking you back into this timeline that you're already so far ahead in. Like, you're going back in time like 5 to 6 years. And it's just crazy. And they somehow make it work. And with Black Widow, I always felt in the Avengers movies, she's gotten so sidelined as a character that she never got the right focus, in my opinion. So I'm glad we now have a Black Widow movie that focuses on Natasha with emotional focus. Like, it's very much horror movie. And that is the biggest pro of the film to me, in my opinion.
Okay. So it doesn't feel like it's too late, or like too. I mean, because here's the thing, right? You have this is what I'm thinking. This is how I'm coming at it, right? I haven't seen it yet, so I'm thinking like, okay, Endgame, Far From Home, you know, all these other movies. It just feels like the scale of the Marvel movies is getting to a point where they're so big, and these movies need to be. Tell me if the order's right. Let me know if you got your order right. But you know, it just feels like these movies are on like such a big scale now that Black Widow, to throw it in there after all of that, it just, I don't know, and to start the phase off of it. But you think it fits? You think it works?
It's definitely, like, because I do agree it is a film, in my opinion, that should have released during phase 1, because I feel Natasha is as important as the other Avengers, that she deserved her own solo.
You know
but
what?
they
I
didn't.
do agree with that.
And Scarlett, there is a perspective that is interesting to me. Scarlett Johansson discussed in an interview how another issue there was at the time, she felt she wasn't ready herself, physically and emotionally, to do a solo film yet. To be honest, I kind of feel half of that is kind of bullshit, because they.
Yeah.
I feel like
she did Age of Ultron pregnant. She could have done it.
It was just so odd and sounded like kind of like PR.
No, I think she did Civil War pregnant.
She did Civil War pregnant too?
Yeah, no. I think Civil War was she was pregnant, not Age of Ultron.
I was like, she did that one pregnant too?
Yeah,
How many of these?
But unless her pregnancy went like super, because I'm pretty sure she was pregnant during Civil War, because, you know, a lot of the sequences you can tell that they're shot in a way where when she does her action sequences, it's not like hands on or face first. It's from the back or over the shoulder or from the side, yada yada. But for Black Widow, it was Age of Ultron.
Yes, it was Age of Ultron. Because the controversy, because Whedon filmed the scene of Bruce Banner falling on her when she's pregnant, and there was tons of controversy with that.
Oh, okay, maybe it was.
At that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
That's right.
I think she possibly did Civil War after she gave birth. That it had to be post pregnancy. I think.
Right. Yeah, they still would have had to do some CGI on her stomach and stuff.
Yes, the technicals of that. But the Black Widow movie, it is official. I guess I can say this officially because it is out there and has been out there for months and months. The movie does take place directly after Civil War. It feels like a direct sequel to Civil War, and where it begins, where Infinity War begins. It's able to feel like where this movie takes place, and it somehow worked. But my criticism with that is it would have felt better if they did release it before Infinity War, because I think you would feel more impact to Infinity War and Endgame with this movie prior.
Yeah,
however,
you would have known before she passed away.
And there's my favorite scene in the movie, and it's just there's I have critiques of it that because this movie is coming out after these movies, I feel like they should have done this specific scene as an area of the movie. It's trying to say non-spoiler wise. They should. I think they do film these scenes. You do see these scenes, but that they are not in an order that you would want them as, in my opinion. That I feel like
it kind of seems like it's and that may be something too that later in the as these movies keep coming out that they change the order or stuff, or even like the Star Wars stuff. There's 1,000 different ways to watch Star Wars. You can watch all those movies out of order, but I don't know. I think go ahead.
I feel like as we know, every MCU movie has a post-credit scene. I feel the post-credit scene should have been ending of the movie.
Huh.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Because it would have improved the film a lot if they did that in a way. When you watch the movie, you'll understand what I mean when you get to it. Because this movie is so interesting where it does not feel like an MCU movie. It feels like a movie that was made by Fox in the 2000s to ride off the Bourne Identity hype. That it feels like that. It's such this weird, grounded thriller of a movie that has this Dawn of the Dead, Incredible Hulk editing that is so interesting to me. The marketing gets the movie entirely wrong, in my opinion.
Okay.
And then you think there's a problem with the cost of it for Disney Plus? Because I think that's another major problem is this $30 price tag that comes on the head
I
of
agree.
it. That shouldn't be $30 to if you want to stream $30. I don't know why it seems so much. In my head, I know it's not a lot of money, but it feels like a lot of money to drop for one movie.
Well, I think they're probably thinking of it this way too, right? Is you're going to pay that $30, but you're probably not going to be there may be a few diehard, right, fans that are going to be the only ones sitting there watching it, but people are pregnant. They're going to invite their friends. They're going to give their friends their Disney Plus passwords and codes and stuff and be like, yeah, go watch, So they're probably thinking of it in terms of that, and too, of either way, they're going to lose money by putting it on streaming. It makes me kind of wonder why they're putting it on streaming anyways, because I think it's already tracking for a $90 million opening, which is pretty average for a Marvel, Marvel studio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the pandemic never happened, It's just everybody just rushed back. So I don't know why they're even putting it on streaming, but I think that's the point of it. I don't think they're expecting a bunch of sales or for it to actually profit the movie, but more so just to kind of appease the people that are still, wanting to take their precautions and not go to the theaters yet and things like that.
Yeah. And do you think this is a better tactic than the same day release that HBO?
Yes,
Warner
this is a
Brothers
10 times better tactic.
As far as no matter what, right?
Well, and look, okay, so from the audience perspective, right? If you're just a regular person who just watches these movies, you're going, no, that's a terrible tactic. Why would I want to pay for when I watch it? But look, overall, it's just go back and look at the backlash HBO has gotten over this day and date deal. They have lost so much. It's part of the reason why they had to sell to Discovery. They lost so much money because they had to pay out all of these fees and payments that weren't supposed to go. Like the Denzel Washington, they had to give Denzel Washington $20 million on top of his salary, just because they didn't warn him about the streaming thing. Same thing with a bunch of other filmmakers. Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot. They all got Christopher Nolan. They all got massive premiums because they were
because the game was changed.
Exactly.
You took the game, right, and you turned it on its head.
And now they made it impossible for, unless you're Godzilla versus Kong, a DC movie, not even Dune is guaranteed, to be able to survive the theater and day and date thing. Godzilla versus Kong, had it not gone to HBO Max, probably would have been bigger financially. Probably would have been, So it damages these smaller films. So like these smaller films that HBO is releasing. There was one with Angelina Jolie that was really good. Those Who Wish Me Dead. Nobody heard about it. Nobody watched it. No, and not to say it would have gone and been a box office hit, but it's just so much worse for these indie and smaller films. It's killing them. It's literally going to bury them if they keep it.
Yeah, I think it very much depends on what the movie is, to be honest. Personally, I kind of liked the HBO Max way because you pay for a service already, and to pay like $30 on top to watch a movie, like as a standalone person, like by yourself, without like a big family, like it's understandable that way. But as a standalone person streaming, it's like that would be close to like $40 to watch this movie digital. I rather wait till it releases on physical and buy the physical DVD or Blu-ray. That would be like $22 than for a digital movie earlier. With HBO Max is like $15-$16, and you get the
$17.99 right now.
Oh, so $17.99.
HBO Max. Well, HBO Max. It's for me. It was no. I'm sorry. It was
$14.99 for me.
$16.99. But it included something. But they hit me with a $17 charge. I think there was something else that I did. Like there was there was another cost somewhere. I don't know where it came from. I do remember like incurring it, but I don't remember how it happened. And I was like, how did I go from 14 to 17?
Right.
I was like, they didn't raise their price, did they? Like $3?
I don't think so, because they just came out with that lower tier with the ads. They have the ad tier,
right?
And that one doesn't have the day and date movies either.
Oh, it doesn't.
No, that one does not have the day and date movies.
It's to me, you pay about $16, $17. You get the movies free. You don't have to pay an additional like $30 charge to get the movie.
Hey, look,
or you could see in theaters. And I feel like it makes it open to both. And another thing, what's interesting, what a lot of people ignore it online is when like trades like Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, when they're calculating box office success or revenue theaters got, Warner Bros. Was actually number 1 of 2020 in terms of revenue from studios to theaters.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, let's see. Warner Brothers?
Seems like at one point they were the only studio putting movies out.
Well, yes. They did put Tenet out. They did put I think did
Scoob
go to theaters, or was
Zack Snyder's Justice League and Kong were fighting against each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at one point, 2 Warner Brothers movies were tackling each other, and it was like, okay, well, this is a clear-cut win for Warner Brothers, no matter what, right?
It is. Oh, sorry. It is strange because Scoob and Mulan and WW84 Well, for HBO Max, apparently Scoob and WW84 did do a massive general success. That's why they greenlit the sequel very quickly to Wonder Woman 84, and Scoob 2 is in development now. With Mulan.
Even though
this-
Wonder
but
Woman
didn't those
84
two
is the
movies-
worst movie I've ever seen.
What?
What?
What was the worst movie you've ever seen?
Wonder Woman 84 is the worst movie I've ever
Oh
seen.
god, I like it. I like Wonder Woman. I'll say
So
it.
bad.
I liked Wonder Woman
Based.
1984.
I love that movie. I'm sorry.
I don't love that movie, but I did give it a second try because I liked it the first time I had that. Well, maybe I was just so like hyped about it the first time that I just overlooked so much of it. But yeah, there's a few problems, but I don't know. I think it's a lot darker than people talk about.
It is.
I think it's a lot darker. And it's a lot for me. I love it a lot more than the first Wonder Woman. I'll be honest.
What?
With you. I don't like the first
I
one
agree.
at all.
Out of your mind.
What? You're out of your mind.
And it shocks me that Zack Snyder wrote the first Wonder Woman because it's such a happy, inspirational movie. I hate it.
It is not a happy,
it's
inspirational
not.
movie.
It feels come on, come on. She's walking in World War One, bullets right inspired.
It's epic. What are you
It's such
talking
a
about?
woman power.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say the right word.
It wasn't epic.
I would say the
was
right
epic.
word is epic. I would say the right word is epic. I would say that the right word
Ares
is.
was
I think
so
84
underwhelming too. That was such a
Oh, and
like,
Cheetah
84 was
isn't. Cheetah
yeah.
isn't underwhelming.
that was such an underwhelming villain, and he's such a badass villain that I felt they did him so dirty.
Ares is kind of scary in the comics.
Yeah, he's the god of like he's a formidable Wonder Woman solo
He
villain,
is.
and it just felt
It's
like
haunting.
they didn't
And,
they didn't live
you
up
know-
to that. And even Patty was like Warner forced her to jam that third act in,
Yeah.
It actually, so what happened with the third act is screenings and test screenings. The third act was apparently. Have you ever seen concept art of a big cloud Ares that looks threatening and scary and cool?
Yeah.
So in the original test screenings of the movie, that was there, but it was more in line of Galactus and Fantastic Four: Rise of Silver Surfer. And apparently in the test screenings, I have a mutual who's apparently seen the film. They said on Twitter that in their test screening, it was this cloud Ares that was just throwing a bunch of trash at Diana as she just dodges all the trash. Like she jumps over it and then she defeats Ares by dodging all this trash, like a video game boss battle.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
no, you're not wrong. Actually,
so it is an improved third act for sure, but still,
Yes.
there was reports of that. Actually, I remember that multiple people have seen this altered version of a movie, and it was
Yes.
different than what it was actually.
And
For some reason, they don't usually do testers like that. That's not. But for anyone who doesn't know, when you get a pre-screener, it's not altered to a point where like something's not done yet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you
they
don't
do.
get it. You don't get it at a point where something's not.
But these were
conceptually
test
done.
screenings.
Yeah.
These were test screenings. I have been to
Yes.
test screenings where like I'll tell you what, I saw the movie
Usually
Patriots
that's
Day.
like
The movie
corporate.
the movie Patriots Day with Mark Wahlberg and all that. I'm not kidding you. I
It's
saw
filmed
a
about a thing that
Right, right.
happened 5 minutes from my house. So yes,
That's
I know
right.
about
Yeah,
it.
I saw a 3-hour and 15-minute cut of that movie with like unfinished CGI, unfinished thing, and it was a test audience in a theater, like all that. So they did, and they were asking us all about it. And of course, when I went and saw the movie later, it was 2 hours and 15 minutes. They cut a whole hour out of it, and
Yes.
Yeah, I saw a similar
Oh.
thing for the Robert good times.
oh,
With-
good time, yeah,
Yeah,
Pattinson.
With
Pattinson,
Pattinson.
yeah.
I saw
That's
a
a
test
great
screening for
movie.
that, and I almost didn't go.
Man.
I was this close to not going because I was like,
Wow.
they announce it an hour before. They don't tell you
Yes,
what the movie
right.
is until
Yes.
an hour beforehand. Then they reveal it, and it's like, oh, it's this movie with this lead character, and it was a good time. Robert Pattinson. I was like,
Right.
I was like, I don't know, like, do I want to go to this? And I ended up going, and I was like, oh,
That
my
must
God,
have
this
been
movie-
an
this movie was
interesting one.
dope.
Yeah, to see a different cut of them
Yeah, it was
because
dope.
like
It was dope.
the original, the theatrical cut to me is phenomenal, but I would love to see what they took out. You know,
it was long too. It was long. So
I would have taken.
But those are the screens where you get like this little notepad after, and you have to like fill out a thing.
There's studio executives there.
So those are the ones that I understand. Something may be different. There may be some previs shots in there, you know, whatever.
Right.
But
was that not what Wonder Woman? The first Wonder Woman was. I thought that's what those were.
Those
basically.
But for Zack Snyder's Justice League, I saw it 2 weeks early, basically, and you know what I mean. There was nothing different. Not a single thing was different. So there, it's just like certain movies, certain films, you know, that I don't know. It's I guess it's circumstantial in a way. I guess it's Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's nothing normal about how that came about. So
with
Wonder
you know
Woman,
what,
now that I think about it, I saw Batman versus Superman like 2 weeks before it came out in theaters, and that was pretty much the same movie too.
It really depends on the test screening, because some films do test screenings months or hell a year ahead when they release.
Yeah.
And so Wonder Woman was one of the films that had the original third act. It, from what I heard, was not liked, and that's why Patty herself chose to go with a new one.
Right.
It was because the reception to it. Another thing as well, I guess a good example, what a lot of people on Twitter don't realize is how every studio, mostly every major movie, does have a lot of deleted scenes, does have different cuts and this or that. Think about this. All the Harry Potter films, when they test screened, they were an hour longer than theatrical. I guess a good example is Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. Harry Potter and Order of Phoenix had a over 3 hour cut in test screenings, and over an hour of footage got cut from the final movie. Because the producers and test screenings, they decide to do this or that. That's why Harry Potter, all the 8 movies, all in total has like 6 to 7 hours of deleted footage in total. It really depends. So in films, there could be different test cuts or whatnot. It's very early on. And sometimes you get test screenings and months later where VFX could be mostly done, previs could be mostly done, but there might be some spots where it isn't. Test screenings are basically meant to look at the story of the film and look at the story characters to determine if the story and characters are right. It's not necessarily for the VFX. So the VFX are never completed. So I think like Scoob's test screenings, it was mostly storyboards. With the
imagine that. Imagine you go into a theater, and this probably happened for several people where they've gone into like these kind of, because like I signed up for multiple agencies where you get to like do these kind of things, and you go in there and like you're expecting to watch a feature film, and you get a storyboarded like shot for shot, you know? Like, what the hell is this? What is this?
I saw the sequel to Sicario, De Soldado, like probably like a full year and like 3 months before it came out, and that had a lot. That was a whole different movie when I saw it in theaters. I almost felt like they had to like reshot that whole movie, because the one that, and the first version you see is there were shots of like there were no effects to the gunshots, there were no effects to anybody, blood, it's just all kind of raw footage.
Oh, and another example I think I could give that could go with MCU. MCU actually may have lots of deleted scenes. The editor on Infinity War and Endgame confirmed they cut hours and hours and hours and hours, like so many hours of footage from Infinity War Endgame together.
Which editor?
That some editor, I think
editor of Infinity War.
It could be Jeffrey.
I forgot who it was. But
Jeffrey's a friend of mine, and he does the editing for. He did the editing for Avengers, all Captain America movies.
It was like, I think it was an interview with IndieWire or some article like that where they discussed how much footage they had to edit and cut and do this, and you could never with Disney themselves. Disney's known for doing this for the past 20 years, where they used, I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have this thing called the Disney Vault, where basically the selected popular Disney movies will be placed into this vault, and every 7 years they would re-release those movies onto new DVDs or Blu-rays, and each new version of those DVDs and Blu-rays, to sell it to parents, they say that, oh, there's deleted footage you've never seen, never before seen songs, never before seen this or that they never tell audiences, because they
Disney
wait
Vault
to...
is a scam, by the way, if anyone didn't know.
Yes.
It's a scam.
So, and it seems with Marvel, Disney's kind of doing that with Marvel as well, where the Infinity War, the Infinity Saga box set thing, that was like $400, I can't remember exact price, that had deleted scenes from all the way back from phase 1, people didn't even know existed. You can never know how many deleted scenes or footage that Disney Marvel could have of all their movies that we won't probably see till the next 20 years, because they will release it to get more money.
Well, and Marvel's, they're known to, I mean, they pulled those types of stunts. Like they shot multiple endings for Endgame or for Infinity War because they didn't want everybody to know who died and like all that. So like
because of leaks, right? Because if a leak comes out and like they want to like kind of confuse the leakers and like, well,
not even the leakers. Sometimes it's just straight up Mark Ruffalo or Tom Holland.
I know. Yeah, they send them. Dude, didn't Tom Holland say they got sent like a different script of like Endgame?
Yeah, but you don't like that bullshit.
Yeah.
It's or how much of it's a gag,
I 100% believe that.
Dude, I believe that too.
I think it started off. I think it started off the way you guys are thinking. I don't think it came to a place where Tom was like, they leaned into it. Like they leaned into it hard, and there's a reason they leaned into it.
But then you have people like Ruffalo. Ruffalo like gave away Infinity War like a year and a half before, and Don Cheadle's like, you just screwed up, and then you don't see Ruffalo on many interviews now. You don't see Ruffalo on any Marvel interview.
You don't know how much of it's a gag or how much of it's like planned out beforehand, like what they're willing to give away via trailer, or
you think they planned for Mark Ruffalo to say, "Yeah, wait, everybody dies in the next film."
I don't think it was planned that way, but I don't think even saying
what Ty's saying is they took that leverage and kept on going with it. Like they had some plans.
Yeah,
like
saying everybody dies in Infinity War is wrong. It's wrong. It's straight up not the right leak. It's not right. It's not correct at all. It's not.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, most everybody besides the main Avengers cast.
No, 50%
disappears.
50%. It's straight right down the middle. 50% like of living creatures pass away or are no longer. Right? Those are the statistics. So to say that everybody dies is not an inside scoop or a spoiler for the film, because that's not true. It's simply not true.
But most everybody dies.
But if you're looking at it like before you've seen Infinity War, and then to say like everybody dies, and then you go into it and like 50% of your main characters disappear,
I'll be like,
you're gonna take that as a bad thing. You're gonna be like, well, why would you say something like that? So I think there's things that they're planned, and then things that go maybe not the right way that they intended.
Yeah. I do think some things are planned, but I also think that I do think they send like Tom Holland fake scripts and things like that.
Yeah, they just match with him.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't tell him Toby and Andrew was in the movie until like he showed up on set.
I feel like at first it was an accident and they like poked fun at it, but I feel like because how fans got obsessed, the actor spoiled this movie or whatever, I feel like Marvel themselves started playing it as a PR gag for audiences.
Yeah.
So that it's that interactive PR thing that Disney Marvel does. The whole Tom Holland thing, like it just feels so obviously PR. I mean, I'm sure it
gets us all like, because whether we want to or not, like guys like me who don't want to get things spoiled will tune into a Jimmy Fallon interview just because Tom Holland's on it to hear if he might spoil something, when in reality the chances of him doing so are so slim, because it's literally he's scripted going in what he can say and what he can't say, right? And he's not a newcomer anymore. He's not this idiot kid who like gets a script and like he's like, oh, by the way, look at this, like, you know, look at the ending, right? He's not that person anymore. After the first time, I can promise you, you're not a Marvel employee if it happens the second time.
And it's a thing with Tom Holland too, where they play up the gag because of how they write his character MCU. They write him that, you know, that idiot kid. And so they like to play that, you know, that jokey, fun, oh, this is just a stupid kid spoiling this small little thing of a movie. Haha, look at him. That type of thing. It just feels so fake, like, and obvious. Like, you can definitely tell. When officially though, there are NDAs, and actors do have to sign those NDAs and cannot necessarily say big things. Tom cannot confirm Toby and Andrew are in this movie.
Of course not. Of course not.
I think the last time a actor generally accidentally slipped was when Zendaya said that she had a scene with Alfred Molina, and that was probably on accident before, because she's not the type of actress to go into detailed scenes or stuff like that.
Alfred Molina also had an issue with it.
Well, now Molina
he confirmed. Even Kevin Feige was pissed.
He got,
like, you know,
screwed. I in my mind, like, come on, you got to know that that's something that you can't say. You cannot tell me how you got from being dead to alive as the same character in a different universe. Like, that's not something that just out of your, like, even if you have a slight, even a shred of knowledge of these superhero films, you have to know that that's a mistake to say. Come on.
Yeah. I think he was just excited, man. Alfred was just like, I'm back. I gotta say something to somebody.
Yeah.
Dude, but Kevin Feige, did you see what he was saying? He was all like, so he does this thing for Black Widow, and he's all like, in the interviewer is all like, what do you think about Alfred Molina coming out and saying that he is in Spider-Man No Way Home? And then Kevin Feige like makes some like remark of like, you know, some people talk about stuff that they do, And Kevin Feige's like, but I don't do that.
He said some people like to talk a lot. Some people like to talk.
And then Feige's like, I don't do that. And then at the end he's all like, well, what do you think we could get like her back, like the girl from Winter Soldier? Falcon Winter Soldier that at the end would help a White Russell, John Walker.
Sharon?
He's like, no, the one that gave him the new suit.
Julia Dreyfus's character.
Yeah.
Okay.
The interviewer at the end of the interview is all like, do you ever think about getting her back in the MCU? He's like, I don't know. You should probably ask Alfred Molina.
That's great. Oh, man. He roasted him there. But then again, they'll lean into it, right? It's like the first time's on you, the second time's on you. Like, right? It's the second time's on you, because after that, like, if you mess up, if you do that stunt a second time.
Perfect example, Mark Ruffalo. How many Marvel interviews do you see Ruffalo on since Infinity War? Because Ragnarok, what was the other thing that happened? He accidentally left his phone on during the first 10 minutes of Ragnarok, and everybody heard the first 10 minutes of Ragnarok. So, like, now he just doesn't do interviews. Now it's just...
You don't think that there's a shrivel of
no, I think with Ruffalo, they keep him away from people.
I think with Ruffalo, it's like, cause the whole phone thing was actually like, he messed up.
With Tom Holland, maybe it's a gag now. With Molina, it's a gag. With Ruffalo, I think they actually are like, no, he doesn't get to... Because think about how many interviews do you see with him after Infinity War or Endgame? Even Kimmel, when he had the whole
Endgame
cast.
projects with him in it after that. There's nothing in it with him after that. So there's no chance for him to be in an interview, because there's no project that has him in it.
Even She-Hulk, though, he's been very quiet on She-Hulk. And I think even then he probably felt bad after that girl took a picture with him in the motion cap suit, and everybody's like, oh, he's on set.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't know.
I found that funny, though. Because
Marvel has had a good track record over the years of being able to keep good secrets. They've been able to keep secret, and they've been able to give away what they want to give away. They've been in total control of what you know, right? What you know as a fan, what you know as a scooper, what you know as a journalist, yada yada. They are in the know of what you know because they're the ones that are directly authorizing what you're able to know, right? They keep secrets very well, right? These big studios, they just do. That's what their job is.
Their fan base is huge. You
Yeah.
can't have something leak out. Like that's like Kevin Feige's like one of those funny guys that like will poke fun, but I think deep down he's all like, mother effort, why is all this Spider-Man shit coming out?
Yeah.
Like
in reality,
at
it's
the
like,
same
ugh.
time, at the same time, it's getting to a point now where these movies have thousands of people working on them. Thousands, from the crew to the editors to the.
That's why there's 18 minutes of credits for Disney Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's why. That's right. It's why every episode of WandaVision was only 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, so you think about it. There is absolutely no way Marvel can make sure that every single one of its people involved, isn't letting it. Like I knew the plot of Endgame. I heard the whole leak and got the whole leak of Endgame like a solid 2 or 3 months before it came out and was, So I think also at the same time,
I don't
like
go
you
looking
said,
for that stuff. I
do. I don't care.
I don't. I don't like that. I don't. I knew the 5 years later storyline a year early, and I was upset about it. I didn't want that to be real.
It's
like,
actually it's very ironic to me because I know so much about Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange 2, stuff about Black Adam, but the one film I barely know anything about is the Flash movie. And it's just crazy how it's just the most secured.
But doesn't it drive
film.
you crazy, AJ, that you don't like? Because like that's what it would be for me. I don't care. I'll still be excited when I go see the movie. I need to know what the hell is going on right now.
That audience score, baby. Let's go.
It's gonna be good, Ty.
What? Well, I have a bet with Austin now.
Yeah, No Way Home is gonna crush that Flash.
The Flash audience score is gonna be better than No Way Home.
Just look at all the Snyder people that are all upset and in a corner crying about it. That alone is probably gonna. Yeah, you already see them review bombing Godzilla versus Kong and all that. Oh yeah, I win. I can't wait. I'll take it.
Personally, with everything I've heard of the Flash movie itself, despite it's all very tiny information. Personally, I think there's so much misconception with that movie that it is. I understand people upset about the Ray Fisher situation, and if you don't want to see it because the producers attached, etc., that's understandable. But there's a lot of misconception over Andy Muschietti because he is not this anti-Zack Snyder director who they think he is. He's really, there's more pros. There's
they put
more
Andy
pros.
and David Sandberg in that box.
Right?
So, they don't like Snyder for some reason.
And there's more pros looking at it in retrospect that the Flash movie is more of continuing off of Snyder than the opposite. Hell, he didn't even have to, but he kept the Snyder Kryptonian language on the Supergirl costume.
Language,
Yeah.
Like he did not have to. And another big thing, Kiersey Clements. Warner Bros. Was going to recast Kiersey Clements, but he went and saved her somehow.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what the deal is with because obviously but as far as I hear, that was like a straight up. It was a scheduling conflict. Like they had to make this movie. He was doing something else. He couldn't do it. Like,
yes,
it wasn't any hard. And that's the other thing. People are like, oh, they got rid of Billy Crudup. They're not doing the Snyder version. Blah, blah, blah.
He chose the morning show over this because the morning show is such a good show.
The morning show is pretty
for anyone who hasn't watched it. The morning show is on Apple. It's an Apple exclusive, C with Jason Momoa. One of the greatest series that I've ever watched. Like you are riveted.
It's damn good.
Start to finish. You are on the edge of your seat, start to finish. That's it. It's such a good show, and he chose that project over this because he's way more of a lead in the morning show. And he probably has more of a future in that series than he does in the Flash,
Yes.
So from him, I was proud of him for being able to make that choice. But it also was like, sucks seeing, because I liked Billy Crudup as
I did too.
Barry Downey,
Obviously.
you know? So,
Yeah, Barry Daddy.
It's like
I like him as
choosing
Dr. Manhattan.
yeah.
It's like choosing a main role in a show that he's already successful with over a small scenes in this movie. You know, it's understandable. It just very much scheduling conflicts. Like, there's not this like hatred or anything like that towards the Flash movie or Andy Muschietti as like they think there is. It's none of that. It's just scheduling conflicts, and it happens all the time with a lot of actors and movies. It's just not DC. It's not just Marvel. It's everything. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I think it is too. I think, just real quick, because I want to get your opinion on this too. I think also Snyder fans just don't like those two because like their movies, to be honest, don't look like Snyder movies. David Sandberg, you know, and Andy Muschietti have their own kind of specific styles, and so people are like, oh, if it doesn't look like it either, it's not.
That's not a good complaint, though. I get that's what people are
right.
doing, but it's not a good complaint.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a terrible complaint.
It's funny to me because Shazam keeps the most continuity with Snyder. Then it keeps the most, like, it's obviously in the same universe because, like, straight up,
the batarangs, the merchandise in the stores, the
Time magazine with the World Engine, and me and there's a Daily Planet website, and we were discussing on Twitter, and we were looking closely. The new Freddie has newspapers, the Daily Planet newspapers, in a drawer that you see for a second in Shazam. All those the specific newspapers are props taken from BVS.
Oh, I like that.
So it's
but then the one thing people talk about is the suit color at the end. When it's like, no, there's a clear reason for why that happened. Is like Zack didn't know that he was going to be able to use the black suit because Warner Brothers already turned it down for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was never like, if Zack Snyder's Justice League doesn't come out the way it does, we never see the black suit, right?
And
if it comes out theatrically. So, and you have a what?
I have a take on the black suit situation that might upset some Snyder fans. Now,
it's not that big of a deal because it's not.
It's not because
it's
in the
just
comics,
simply not.
And
hey, go put on that blue suit just so you can come to this kid's lunch table. Is that okay? Right. Cool, we fixed it.
In the Man of Steel comics in the early '90s, when his resurrection, the suit was Jor-El's costume. I had thought that Zack was actually going to go for that route, but he didn't. I was surprised with that. But I still love the suit. But in the comics, he wears the suit for a few issues. He wears it up until it gets destroyed, and he's like almost naked. And then the next comic he appears in, blue suit again. It's not a big deal like that. Like, in superheroes, they always get brand new costumes. This is a thing with most superhero comic book movies. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man has a new costume, and Spider-Man 2.
In each of the beginning movies, the Avengers have new outfits every single movie. Every single movie. And they chalk it up to Tony Stark being there. That's it.
And hell, if you want a story-wise explanation, maybe you can make a reach. You can make a reach that, and in Zack Snyder's Justice League 3, it was going to go back in time, retcon the whole nightmare stuff. It would have never happened in an ending, and would go back to the Justice League 2 timeline. So it would be like, you could say Shazam could take place after Zack Snyder's Justice League 3.
Right. When he would have the blue suit on.
Right? It really doesn't matter too much, but they make it out like it's a big attack on Zack when it really isn't. David F. Sandberg is a huge Snyder fan himself. He said in interviews that when he was asked his favorite Batman, he said Batflick. He's a big Zack fan, Batflick fan, etc.
So what do you guys think of what do you guys think of Zack's new project that has been revealed?
That sci-fi.
The sci-fi Japanese like Star Wars based thing that I've never heard of in my life. Personally, I've never heard of it.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to be more Star. No, go ahead, Austin.
No. Well, yeah, no, go ahead, finish your thought. I feel bad. I just cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just gonna
All right,
say
well,
that.
it was-
Oh my gosh.
Someone just need it.
Okay, so I was gonna say, you messed it up, boss. Now I can't even think what I was gonna say.
New Star Wars, Japanese, South Korean, Zack Snyder, Netflix original.
It's exciting to me. I mean, like,
What is
my
it called
take
again?
is-
What is it called again? I'm sorry.
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moons. Okay, so Rebel Moons. Sorry. So Rebel Moons is this new. It's going to be this. It's based on some. Am I getting this right? Japanese. I haven't looked. I've been kind of distant in the past like 5 to 6 days. I've been doing other things besides being
It's supposed to
online.
have a I could be wrong, but it's supposed to have an Asian lead, and it was kind of funny to me because Twitter were fan casting like for this movie, and none of the actors they were fan casting for it, they weren't Asian whatsoever when they're the Asian lead in this movie.
Right.
It was
It's another Scarlett Johansson issue.
hey, you can cast Scarlett too.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell too.
Right.
So,
Oh my
God.
what are you guys thinking? What are you excited for this? Are you like, is this something you want to see Zach tackle? Because I think everyone thought this other project was going to come out before this. There's this other project, right? That Zach was.
Well, Illuminati, came out with a big report that Horse Latitudes was going to be his next film. I'll be honest, I didn't believe it because Zach's like been pretty open, even with the whole Snyder interviews, that like as much as he wants to do it, he wants to shoot that on location in South Africa, and with the pandemic, that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
So he's been pretty open that he's willing to put that on the back burner just so he can go down there and shoot it, on location. So I'm excited. Look, if the opening of Man of Steel is any indication of Zack Snyder and space, I'll take it. Like I will gladly take it. I know I heard that he actually pitched this to Lucasfilm in 2013 to no avail, and try to get it into the Star Wars universe and make it a part of Star Wars. It's his like childhood idea of what Star Wars was, and now he's taking the Star Wars out of it and just making it an original IP.
Okay.
It's very smart of. It's with Zach. I love how with Zach and the Wachowski sisters, how they just go and do their own original IPs instead of like trying to do whatever like franchise IP, because I think it was Zach especially. Zach stated that one of the reasons he wouldn't do Star Wars is he does not want to deal with the fans. He knows how awful the fan base is and how controversial him doing a Star Wars movie would be.
Was that what I thought? I took it more as like, because I thought he said he said he didn't think he was ready to do a Star Wars film, and I guess you can take it as the fan base is pretty.
You're talking about like right now when he pitched it, because when he pitched it, they denied it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll be honest. As much as I love Snyder, I kind of took it as like even he recognizes that if he were to do something like Star Wars, like on his own, it may go overboard. It may go. Snyder is that type. He needs. I love him. I love his stories. I love his movies. But even with Army of the Dead's a great example, right? Army of the Dead's all Snyder, but like. You can tell when he doesn't have other writers or other people there to kind of ground him and bring him back a little bit, he goes overboard and it gets to be a little messy. Like I love Army of the Dead. I can rewatch that movie all day long. It's his messiest film he's ever made, for sure.
Zach is someone who respects directors' visions a lot. If he was to do a Star Wars movie, I think he would try to make it in line with George Lucas as much as possible. Like I could, if he himself, Zach was going to make a Star Wars movie in the early 2010s of a prequel with a younger Jedi Yoda protecting a village. And it was going to be inspired by Seven Samurai. This was back in like, I think 2010, 2011. This was something he wanted to do. And I think it was like confirmed that there were talks with Zach between Lucasfilm. I mean, Zach has been offered many films. He was offered to direct X3 and X-Men Origins. And so
Right.
Different movies, what have those have been?
right, like Zach would, I think his Star Wars would be like, it would be his movie, you know, but it would also be a movie that would I could see it being closer, like a mix of the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy in the sense of that.
It goes back to the made by committee. Zach does not thrive in that environment.
Right.
He does not. He's not a made by committee movie kind of guy. He's
Yeah.
a
He
made
isn't.
by Zack Snyder kind of guy.
It's why, as much as, you know, people talk about, like, yeah, it'd be cool to see him do a Marvel movie, but I really don't want him to. Because I can tell you right now, I don't think we would get. And, you know, he's a nice guy. He would probably nicely compromise on a lot of things, but.
Oh, he always does. He doesn't mind
but,
compromising at all. But the thing,
but, I just, it's like you said, it's made, as much as I would like to see an MCU Zack Snyder movie, I don't want to see a Zack Snyder.
It wouldn't
MCU
be a
movie.
Zack Snyder MCU.
I think
movie.
I think it would.
MCU movie made by Zack Snyder.
Right.
Well,
yes,
yeah,
and I got flack for this on my Twitter, but I personally, in my opinion, I cannot see a Zack Snyder MCU movie. It would not be his movie. They would.
Yeah, I just want.
The thing with Zack is
What
Zack
is it this time? Ghost Rider.
Zack.
Ghost Rider.
Like-
This one. This is the new trend, right? Is Zack's directing? Zach's gonna take over for Ghost Rider after somehow Blade PG-13 succeeds. Then we're gonna get
Right.
Zack Snyder, Ghost Rider. No,
Zach is like, he's a very visual director as well. Like there is, of course, the story and the themes, but he's also a visual storyteller. I feel like a lot of that, you know, the action, how close he is to the technicals, the practicals, how it looks, how the action looks, the CGI, the VFX. Zach looks over that 100%. He's so close to everyone working on his movies to make sure it does fit well as his movie. And with BVS, he even admitted himself that BVS is a studio decided film. It was a movie that was pushed by studio, but that he felt he was lucky. He said on, I think it's Film Junkie's stream. It was one of those streams, or it was by Justice Con. He mentioned how he felt lucky that what he was able to put in BVS, that he was lucky to do it because it was still a lot of studio decisions. But he was glad that there's so much in that film that he probably wouldn't be allowed to put in any other film by a studio. You know, he wouldn't. You know, necessarily, you would not see Marvel Studios or Disney. And this is not me bashing them. This is not me tearing them down because I don't like doing that. But you would not see Disney making a film like The Dark Knight or Batman v Superman. They don't. They stick to these certain guidelines to make sure these films are acceptable for the general audiences. You know, all for audiences, and make sure it fits there. But you're not going to get films like the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman v Superman, or hell, Joker. I can't see MCU making a movie like Joker.
And that's the problem with Deadpool. It's like,
Yep.
oh, how are you going to do that? How are you going to pull this off? How are you going to pull it off in a way that fits that story?
I think they can to a degree, but not to like the level of Joker. Well, the whole thing with Kevin Feige, which I admire the dude. He's like the greatest producer of all time, in my opinion.
I agree.
The dude, because he's created something that no other producer has even come close to. But what he does is he likes to do this thing with like you have a toy box. You want to give the toys to all your different friends. You have friends that are like in the dark stuff. So what you do, you throw them a Moon Knight. You throw them, I don't know, a Blade or PG, whatever that is. But you throw them like a Moon Knight. You have like the young girls who like getting into this. Throw them Miss Marvel. You got he gets toys to a lot of different fan groups. So like a bunch of audiences will love his thing. He's not like Zack Snyder. It's very like one fan group. So I'm trying to say like he doesn't like appeal to like all the fan scenes, but he can like appeal to like an audience. Is what I'm trying to say.
He's got a good audience behind him, but not enough to like.
Yes.
It's not enough to make a movie or break a movie on its own, right?
Yes, it's not. He's not a masses director in a way like Steven Spielberg. I mean, like he's not a director like that. I can see directors like Steven Spielberg, James Cameron. Those are directors that they're able to make their own movies, their vision that they can make. This is Spielberg movie. This is James Cameron movie that all audiences will watch. I think Zack Snyder is more in the group of directors, and I'm not saying he's as good as the two people. I don't want to offend that fandom, even though I love Zack a lot. He's more in the group with I feel Tarantino
and Nolan.
Yes, they have their specific audiences.
Yeah, and he picks and chooses what he does. He doesn't write to the audience. He writes for. It's like weird because Tarantino. No movie of Tarantino's is similar, right?
Exactly.
In its own way. No movie of Tarantino's feels closely attached to any other film. They're very much different genres each time. Very polar opposite.
Yes, and then he will get different audiences from this. Different people like different themes, and they'll strive towards different movies. And people be like, "Well, I know Quentin Tarantino. He made this movie." Another person will be like, "Well, I like this kind of movie, and that's why I like Quentin Tarantino."
Yeah,
he'll amass a larger audience that way.
But at the same time, I disagree with that. I actually disagree because you know a Tarantino movie. A Tarantino movie not only has like a distinct look, it's got a distinct fit. Like a Tarantino movie, it's gonna have basically a mix of every single genre there is: comedy, drama, thriller, horror. Like it's this massive genre mixture. Zack Snyder, you're gonna get a probably darker, more mature story. Christopher Nolan, you're gonna have to think. So I think there are certain things that there are very similar, distinct things about these guys that are on the same.
Can I give you an example? Like James Cameron did Avatar and Titanic. They are one of the most different movies I've ever seen in my life.
Sure. Okay. Right. Sure.
But then, even then, there is no like. You can't be like, well, he does this thing similar. I'm like, I can't find one thing. Maybe like, I don't know, the way like the sky looks. I can't find like one thing.
I would say there's a lot of similarities between the Terminator franchise and what he did with Aliens, and even adding up back to the sci-fi stuff and Avatar, some of the stuff that he instituted.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about those two movies, like how different they can make.
Obviously,
movies.
Titanic. Exactly. I think to closer describe what you guys are talking about, of filmmakers, and obviously just passed away, rest in peace. But Richard Donner. I think if you could say any filmmaker that you're like, no two movies of that guy's filmography are alike, it's Richard Donner. I mean, that dude did The Omen, Superman, Goonies, Kids. I mean, like, and each of them so and that's the thing, right? Even when Tarantino leans into something a little more serious, like, I'm trying to think, what's one of the? They're all.
Yeah, what's one of the serious movies?
They're all like black comedies to me. I don't know. That's.
Well, Austin, do you think it's better? Do you think it's better for, like, what you're saying is it better for a director to be like Richard Donner or like James Cameron and make totally different movies, or to have like similar themes in each of their movies?
I would never say, like Tarantino, right? I would never tell him go make a different type of movie. That dude, like, every movie he makes, in my opinion, I love, and I would never. I mean, sure, I would see a different type of movie. Like, I think there's been, talked about, like, I'd love to see a Tarantino horror or a Tarantino sci-fi, something that's a little out of his typical, reality genre. But still, even then, the guy has mastered what he does. Zack Snyder, I would say, he's mastered the type of filmmaking that he does. Like this whole visual type of like filmmaking, he's mastered it. Christopher Nolan, he's mastered the mind-bending complexity, thrillers. So it just depends on the filmmaker, right? I wouldn't tell those guys to necessarily, go go branch out. I mean, sure, that's a good thing as a creative, but also when you're really good at it and you love it, there's no really reason not to continue it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, Austin, I get what you're saying. In your own okay, but here's the thing. I want this for the whole panel. In your opinion, who is the best director of all time? Like his movies, like in your opinion.
Wait, to add on to the other thing. To add on to the other thing, I think
because there's so many good ones, right? It's hard to pick.
I'd say
to
Nolan.
to add on to the other thing.
For me, I'd go Nolan. I'm such a huge Nolan fan that I'd go Nolan.
I need to think. AJ, what were you gonna say? I need to think. So go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I think directors have a visual or like distinctive style that it's a Zack Snyder movie, it's a Tarantino movie, it's a Tim Burton movie, it's a Sam Raimi movie. Though directors like that, they have their distinctive styles. Yeah. While Zack Snyder, Tim Burton, or I guess Zack Snyder, Tarantino, the Wachowskis, etc. They have a distinctive style that this is their movie. But what's interesting is the filmographies are all, there's a lot of variety to each of their movies. They make their own, they go full on whatever the fuck they want to, and it's just different movies each. Tarantino, all his films are very much different besides Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, because, that's a first and well, actually, you could actually still say Kill Bill 2 are different from the first.
Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs are pretty damn similar.
Maybe.
Or even, I would even throw Jackie Brown in there a little bit too.
I guess Zach has, think about this. Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Man of Steel, they are not the same movie whatsoever. They are all three completely different films made by Zach that still has that distinctive Zack Snyder feel to it. That or so with stuff like that. Sam Raimi, I feel, in my opinion, the only Sam Raimi directed movie that does not feel like a Sam Raimi movie to me is his first ever movie he made with Disney, which is Oz the Great and Powerful.
My God, yeah. I forgot you did that one.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that movie at all. I'll tell you.
It doesn't feel like a Raimi movie to me.
I didn't like it that much,
I saw it in IMAX 3D, and it changed everything. Like, it changed 3D for me. I think I took a little bit of mushrooms before I went in too. It was extra special. You know what I mean? It was extra special. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I took shrooms and then went and saw Doctor Strange, and that was fun.
Yeah.
When the movie ended, you know how the theater floor has all those designs on the floor? Yeah. It was all doing the Doctor Strange stuff and turning into circles, and I was like,
yeah. And then you're looking at your own feet, and you're like, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm walking out of the theater like.
Yeah, I was under the influence heavily for that movie that you said, Oz the Great and Powerful, and then Civil War. I took acid before I went in, and I had a great
good
time.
For you.
I had a great time.
Civil War changed me.
Yeah, but honestly, I do have to get going.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up
fun.
In a minute anyway.
It's been so fun talking to you guys. I think my dogs are going crazy because the mailman's here. So, but I have to get going. You guys are awesome. Dude. I love watching you guys. Have a great one.
You too, man. You're welcome anytime. You're welcome anytime.
And we're gonna wrap it up in a moment anyway. I got some things to do tonight. In preparation for Black Widow, which will be live from Showcase on Friday morning. Yep. Which it's gonna be fun. Regardless of what anyone thinks. There's one thing that I think you can consider when you're going into a Marvel film is that you'll enjoy some aspect of it or some part of it every time, right? You can have an enjoyable experience some way. It may not, for instance, Captain Marvel wasn't a movie that you get me excited for. There's not a lot you could do to get me excited for Captain Marvel. For Black Panther as well. Black Panther, for a lot of people, is one of the greatest MCU movies of all time.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's not. Okay. It's not. It's a CGI mess. It's unearthly.
I'm gonna go back and watch that one. That one I'll see. Maybe I might have.
The CGI in it is so bad at in the final sequence.
I loved it. I saw it in IMAX. I remember. I saw that movie 5 times in theaters because I loved the action so much.
Yeah, go back, look into it. Cool. It's balls of it's like balls of suit mixed together. It feels like it's the Venom final sequence, like when it's literally like mashing into each other. It's just there's so much CGI and there's so much render into it that it feels sloppy. And like I've been seeing a lot of sloppiness in the MCU. Like going back and watching these other movies, you start seeing other things. You're like, that didn't look as great as I remember it looking.
Right.
It's like, is it Disney Plus or is it me?
It could be Disney Plus.
On with Black Widow, like I said earlier, watching that movie did not feel like an MCU movie to me because it actually did feel like Kate Shortland, the director, I think she tried making this as much as her movie that she could. Right. But there is still parts of it that does feel, it's your average MCU movie, but it is.
Well, yeah, it looks like a Bourne movie with Black Widow as the lead. I'll be honest. Every trailer I see looks like, all right, this is Jason Bourne with Black Widow.
Yes,
which actually I don't mind. I love the Jason Bourne movies, so of course I'm going to see it.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. Like it feels like to me watching, it felt like a movie that would write off the Bourne Identity hype of the early 2000s. Yeah, it's like I would see this movie releasing in 2006.
Imagine this movie came out like back to back with Winter Soldier,
or even even something like, gosh, it probably would have blown her up. They probably would have done 2 or 3 movies by now if they would have did something like after Iron Man 2.
Oh, and it is interesting. There's something that fans want in this movie. The movie does not do, but it teases at it in a way. It basically they could do another prequel movie that takes place before this one.
That's what I heard, is that and even Kevin Feige came out and was like, yeah, we're not throwing away the options of that. We'll do another Black Widow prequel, or we'll do other characters, in prequel scenarios before the events of Endgame. And I was like, wow, this movie has to be really damn good and successful for them to do that. I think. I mean, I will say I saw one of the trailers, or one of the TV spots, now that all the reviews are out, and it was like the best Marvel movie yet. And I was like, shut up. It's it. I'm they're gonna say that with every Marvel movie now. Freaking
yeah. But all right, yeah. So that's probably gonna do it for today. No, I had a good time.
Yeah, man.
The MCU is one of those things where I think people look at it one way, right? From they look at it as like this big culmination event, right? And that's not a bad way to look at it. It's like this interconnected. It's the first real interconnected universe, and it did a great job of doing that and opening the door for other universes like our DCEU, our monster universe with Kong and Godzilla, and opening the door for all these other universes, right? It did a good job of what it needed to do at the time that it needed to do it. Yeah, it's like when you go back and look, that it's easy to pick out holes and see things that are wrong with it, but you can't remember the first time you experienced it, because when you see these movies in theaters, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
I mean,
there's not a thing like it.
The very first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters, that was where I was like, Marvel outdid themselves.
The way it looks, the way you hear it, the way you feel when you're watching it. There's no films that do it like it. There's nothing out there like it. So when you sit down for a Marvel film, you know that you're going to be visually pleased. Yeah, you're in for some sort of treat, no matter what it is. And I think they've built such a reputation on that it's hard to now you're coming off of Iron Man being gone, Cap basically being gone, right? These heroes that we for 10 years grew together with, they're all gone, and now we're phasing into this new Avenger universe, and they're finding a hard time keeping audiences hyped for it. But shows like Loki, I mean, I just don't know how you do that. I really don't. How do you get me excited for Loki? A Loki show. Right. What? If you were to tell me 5 years ago that there was going to be a Loki show that got me more excited than a Black Widow movie, I'd tell you you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. Come on.
Oh, what? Definitely. Yeah, because personally, I'm preferring Loki over Black Widow. Oh. Yeah,
Loki, there's such good storytelling in the Disney Plus. Like, I've always found that long form storytelling is more gratifying for an audience than a 2-hour culmination event film, right?
But you know what? And I would even argue now. I'll be honest, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think he set. I look at Zack Snyder's Justice League and I look at the first Avengers movie. Now, Zack Snyder's Justice League murders the first Avengers movie and the second Avengers movie. Like, doesn't just blow it out of the water. No. It takes like the biggest laser gun that it can find and just wipes a hole of like nothingness. Seriously, like the complexity, the epicness, everything about that movie is just like, that's how you do like a first ensemble team movie. And I'm okay with the 4 hours. I think the next best option would have been long format, like you said, like a show. But just to see it in theaters and on the big screen, I'll take the 4 hours. And
I'm so mad that I'll maybe never get to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, that's pretty upsetting.
Because I got to see it on a computer screen. Literally, like what I'm looking at right now is the way I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Right.
On my 32-inch computer screen, and that's how I watched it. And then I watched it again on my TV, which is almost 85 inches, but it's on a movie screen. Like,
right. It's not
I have a. If you would ask someone who comes into my house and watches a movie in my house, they'd say I have a movie theater in my house. Right. But it does not compare. I don't care what you have in your house.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't compare.
No, unless you are literally rich
unless you have a legitimate
Zack Snyder.
Theater. Yeah.
Unless you're Zack Snyder, who's got an actual movie theater in his house.
Yeah. Unless you have a literal Dolby cinema in your house, in your basement. Like, you're not gonna get that cinematic feel to it. There's no way to translate it correctly. And Zack Snyder's Justice League, no matter what way I watched it, I was always like, I felt like I was missing something. What I was missing was that big screen element. These characters are larger than life. The way I want to see them is larger than life. I want to see them on that screen that's 65 plus feet. Right?
Absolutely. You remember that little preview they would play before the movies? That was like
IMAX?
It showed the TV screen and what it actually looked. Yeah. And then it was like
IMAX. Yeah, it was great.
I love that.
They even changed that throughout some movies. So for like Kong, it changed for IMAX. Like it would go 10, 9, and it would change into like a Godzilla theme. And like BVS had one that was an IMAX, and it like I missed that part of it.
It's an experience, man.
It's an experience. And I came out of BVS different than most people. I was honestly I was backing it. I was backing it in a way. I was defending that movie because I knew
very angry.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't seem like. This is a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
But I defended that movie for a long time. And then I saw the Ultimate Edition. I was like, oh, God damn, Jesus Christ. What am I doing? But I was like, no, the Ultimate Edition. I was talking about the whole time.
That's the one. That's the
one I was talking about the whole time. But all right, guys. So come back next week. Next week we'll be able to talk about some spoilers for Black Widow. We'll be able to talk about more of the aspects. We'll be doing a lot of interviews in the next.
The Loki finale.
And the Loki finale. Yeah, this month we are so jam packed with interviews and like movies and TVs that like it's unfathomable how it's going to all come together. But it is actually going to all come together. We have I think we have upwards of 10 interviews this month to do,
Let's go.
but we also
Let's
have
go.
3 movies and then 2 television series finales. So it's going to be a very jam-packed month, but we're going to make it happen, and we're going to make it worth your time. So Black Widow Friday, Owen Gleiberman Saturday, and then on Sunday,
Tucky Williams Sunday.
Tucky. Yeah, so all right. All right, AJ, want to give your where to?
My Twitter is at Age of Arts, and where I post random things and get called both a Snyder hater and a Snyder cultist by 2 different groups of people.
It's so fun. It's so fun. It's
Right?
so fun.
One quick thing to point out, because I was gonna say I noticed in the recent episode of Loki, the classic Loki, when he's creating Asgard, he essentially, that's an Emerald City reference in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you notice closely, it looks like Emerald City, and how the whole.
I think
the
Asgard
awesome
always
stuff
looked
is.
like Emerald City.
Yeah,
And-
I wonder if that was on purpose by Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, so I always directly reference the two as looking very similar. Even going back to Thor 1, right? Literally Thor 1. I was like, oh, that is a remarkable reference or how they built, like in reference to. I thought it looked very similar. And I always liked that. I really did. So seeing that come back in this episode of Loki in that like very green hue, I thought it was beautiful.
Dude, I was freaking out. I was like, this is epic. This is so cool.
It was beautiful. And it's coming from a character that literally is dressed like
The classic
Vision in the Halloween episode.
Right.
Right? So like
But I just loved it. I just love too, like I pointed out earlier, that how he ends it like glorious purpose and then starts laughing, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's such a Loki goes out in a savage way, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I've really liked these like variants and like these other kind of stories that they've been able to tell via Disney Plus, and I'm
Setting
very
you up,
much looking
man.
forward to what's coming next, because if this is where we're starting the bar, right? WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki. If that's where we're starting the bar, imagine where we're gonna finish. Imagine where we're gonna finish. Come on.
Only hope. You can
Come
only
on,
hope.
this is only going to get better. It's only going to get better. And
Right.
WandaVision, just as upsetting as it was for me to watch, to start with a show like that. Where can we go from there? The stories are endless, right?
Yep.
So
Agreed.
I'm in Marvel. I trust. And I
In
always
Mar-
will. And I always will. I always
Kevin
will.
Feige, we
I'm
trust.
just loving how Phase 4 is going more of a 616 direction. That it feels like it's embracing
Yeah.
more of the 616 comics than the 2000s Marvel, which just makes me so happy. Like the recent episode of Loki, it just what it revealed was just like, oh my god, that's early 1990s Marvel.
Yeah, I know.
it.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing, right? Is like that's kind of the Marvel that, even though I'm not the biggest, and I was never was the biggest Marvel reader, the 616 is the Marvel that I'm familiar with and
Yes,
stuff. And so
I'm the same way.
I'm like, dude, this is fanfare for me. I was freaking Loki
Right.
has almost the whole series has been fanfare, all this, and yeah, I'm super happy with it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like personally, I've been more closer to DC, but when it comes to Marvel, just a classic 616. So
Yeah,
it just makes
yeah.
me happy. MCU is finally. It takes a while, but we're finally getting close. to
Right,
it.
we're getting there.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask if there's any MCU movies, like you have to pick one, right? You have to pick one MCU film that you want to watch before now and Black Widow on Friday, and we'll squeeze it in tomorrow. But I'm going to be doing, like, I'm kind of going back and like rewatching certain MCU movies right now that like
Mhm.
I want to go into Black Widow, have seating. Oh, what a great put together phrase, right?
Yeah, man. Okay.
So
Wow.
no, I want to be fresh. I want to have those movies fresh in my mind after or going into Black Widow. So
Right.
I'm doing that right now. So if there's a movie that you want to watch together tomorrow night, we can do that. Whatever it is, and we'll put up maybe a poll out or something like that. But I mean, I've watched Endgame and Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, and then I watched a little bit of Civil War this morning.
Yeah,
So,
if anything, I might rewatch Civil War.
Yeah, so if you
Yeah,
guys want to
another one.
watch any of those, let me know, and we could do like a little watch party tomorrow night. I think that'd be kind of cool going into Black Widow the next morning. So as we have it for now, we'll see you guys tomorrow for Jiving with Jack at 4:30. You guys are doing a PlayStation. What is it? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we are covering the PlayStation Plus day thing. I'm not a PlayStation guy, but Jack is, and I'll be there covering it with him. They're having their big announcements talking about their upcoming games. Hopefully we'll get some God of War stuff. But make sure and tune in. We'll be live reacting and covering that in a special edition of Driving with Jack tomorrow.
Cool. I'm excited. And always remember.
Make your dreams come true! Just do it!